We are putting a Honda Fireblade motorbike engine right by here. But there are some couple of things left to do. Get this spun around in the unit, should be fairly easy. Welcome back to KM Builds. If you're new to the channel, this is mine and Matt's 1986 Honda Acti, and we are putting a Honda Fireblade motorbike engine right by here. We're also going to be putting it on air suspension, getting it sitting as low to the floor as we can. So make sure to go and check out our previous videos. We've been working on this now for a couple of months, doing a lot of rust repairs, a little bit of modification here and there. But in today's video, we aim to get it entirely ready for the engine to start going in. The majority of our videos so far have been on the rear end of this truck. We removed the top of this bed. That will become clear as to why we've done that very soon. We've also removed one of these, which was here. That will be reinforced when we put the engine into this. But there are some couple of things left to do. We've been doing it for a little while now, but it's time to get this ready to start making a move on the engine. So let me show you the couple of tasks we have before we can make a start. We are 90% of the way there, but the finishing touches are as follows. So where we filled in all of the previous holes, we left them bare, so we just got to wire wheel them back and put some primer, as you can see, some of it has surface rust on it, so I need to get that finished up. The same here, but we're going to do this outside because there's a fair bit on top to put, and we've also got to put weld through primer on these pieces. For the back of the bed, that's about it. There's a couple of welds we have to sand down as well, but there's not a lot left to do on the back of the truck now. The majority of it is on the front. On the back of the cab, we have circled a couple of holes which we want to get rid of. These are to bolt a cage which kind of sits along the back of the truck, but we want to get all them holes blanked off, so we need to get them welded shut. Just need to grind them down. Them ones on the top are a little bit worse, so we'll file them square and get them filled up. But that is mainly it for the back of the cab. I have filled in a couple of holes on the front of the cab with the windscreen wipers, so let me show you them. So as you can see, I have welded a couple of sections in already. Just need to file these or sand these flat. We have made a repair there. There was a repair made by someone else. I've tried to repair it as best possible, but I may redo this as it wasn't the best when we had it off the previous owner. Finally, moving on to the inside, we've made a couple of repairs already. There was a crack there which I've welded up. Matt kindly removed all of the sound deadening and it looks really solid underneath, and I repaired the pillar here. It looks a bit messy, it's rusted over now, we need to grind it down, get rid of all these welds and hopefully tidy it back up. If you've watched some of our previous videos, you know underneath the cab is a little bit rusty, but that is mainly all of the suspension arms, which we will eventually take off and have them powder coated or whatever we do. But for now, we want to basically get it running with the engine and all the suspension on. This is where you could help us out. If you happen to have a Mark 1 or Mark 2 MX-5 or Meister R suspension, then please drop a comment and let us know if you're looking to get rid of it. We are looking for suspension. The prices on them are quite expensive. We're trying to build this on a budget, so if you could help us out, then that would be much appreciated. But without further ado, I'm going to wire wheel all the bits on the back that needs painting and get some etch primer on them. So let's crack on. And that is the back of the bed at a point where we can finally move on to the engine. We'll probably get this outside and do that when we have a bit of dry weather, but it's always raining and dark in the evening, so hopefully on a weekend it is nice and dry for us to get that finished. But I'm going to move on to the holes on the back of the truck. The smaller holes on the edges, I'm just going to grind them down so that it's bare metal ready to weld. The ones on the top are a little bit bigger, so what I'm going to do is file them into a nice square shape, so then I can cut a new piece of metal out into the same shape, so I don't have to fill that big hole with weld, as it's going to look a mess on the inside if I do that. So that's all of them grinded down. These ones should be easy enough to just weld up, same as the small holes at the top. The bigger ones, as you can see, I filed them a bit more squarer. So what I got to do now is create a template with masking tape, cut them out of metal, put the metal in, and it should be a lot easier to fill. So I need to pick up a couple of bits, the sanding belts. I may need some more gas for the welder, so I'll probably do that a bit more on the weekend. But As you would have seen, I welded up all the holes on the back of the cab. We will need to filler and sand them just to get them perfectly smooth, but they are completely gone. So I'm going to start to make a move on the front of the truck and the inside. So what I'm going to do now is get this spun around in the unit. Should be fairly easy, and then I can start working on the front and the inside. So what needs doing on the front of the truck? So I went ahead and repaired these the other week, so I need to just grind all them flat the same as the back of the cab, and then we will filler and sand them eventually. But the holes on the front are filled in. We don't know what to do with that one on that side yet, so this one over here is actually for the wiper washer fluid, but it's quite cool, the cap, so we're not going to run wipers, or we may have one wiper and relocate it more centrally, or something, but for now we don't know what to do with that, so we've left that. I've also got to repair a little slit in there which I accidentally cut through from the inside when repairing this corner here. That was in another video. Just a kind of basic how to fix rust, or how we approach rust. If you're a beginner to fixing rust, then maybe go and check that out. It's quite a good video. So I basically got to sand down all of these spot welds, get this all looking tidy, because as you can see, it's still there from where I welded it. Just to show you on the front a bit closer up where I welded these, same process as what was on the inside of the cab, and then there's a little cut there which I've just got to weld up shut. There's also a couple of bits inside I just want to wire wheel down and get some etch primer on, just to get rid of any light surface rust, and then that is pretty much the chassis is prepped. The inside there, see where I've welded just now on the back, I may have to have a look at them, get them a little bit flatter as well on the inside with the grinder and etch prime, things like that. But first thing I'm going to do is get all of these welds on the front as flat as possible, ready for the filler. So you would have seen some of the work in the time lapses, but let me just give you a bit of an update as to where we are. So the bits on the inside, sanded them down a bit and primed them, same as the bits on the front. This one on the corner here, I did decide to cut out a big square section because the repair that was on there previously, that was done before we had the truck, wasn't the best. The metal was quite thin, so I decided to cut it all out and basically do it again. I also repaired the bit that was on the front of the truck there, the bit of a slice that I made by cutting when I was doing the repair on the inside. The inside repair also sanded down, which you would have seen, so let me show you the inside bit as well. This is the section we've repaired. It is 10 times better than it was. You can see some of the welds, which we may be able to get rid of, but not many people are going to see this, and it is 10 times better than the massive hole that was there, and it's now structurally sound. That repair was covered in a previous video, as I said earlier on, but it does the job for us. There was a massive hole there before, so it is 10 times better than it was. I sanded a bit on the inside, got rid of some rust on the inside, only light surface rust, but now it should be protected. I think we could do with some more of the buzz weld. We've also used that again in previous videos, so go and check that out. But we need some of that to go over some of the rust that is just hard to get off, and that will stop it rusting any further. That is about all I'm going to cover in this video. It is a short video, but it's just a final video covering some of the bits we have to finish off to get this into a position where we're happy to start putting it back together. There's a few key things we're going to start to move on next. Getting the engine in, the new suspension, which we're trying to find some suspension for this. We're going to be putting air suspension on the suspension that we buy. So that whole air suspension system is going to have to be mounted as well. We're not completely finished welding. Underneath the cab, there's some bits we're going to have to sort out, but we're at a position where we can start to make some good progress in some of the areas like the engine, and we now know that the chassis is a majority solid with a couple of bits here to sort out later down the line. So make sure you go and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our future videos where we have a lot of content for this coming, and a lot of better content. We've been working on this for weeks and weeks now. Again, it's solid. Matt and I have put a lot of work into it, so now we can finally start to put it back together and see some of the progress that we've put in. Feel free to drop any comments, anything you think we should do to the truck, any feedback whatsoever. We're always looking at the comments, so you could help us out massively. But that is it for today's video. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we will catch you in the next one.